Hello everyone, I'm Antonio Mora and this is Eye on Chicago. Tonight we're focusing on the 40th anniversary of the Chicago International Film Festival. The city's been studded with stars visiting for the event, from Tom Hanks to Liam Neeson and Annette Bening. Good to have you back in Chicago.
Yeah, my favorite town.
What keeps coming back? I mean, obviously you like the city as your collaboration with Robert Falls.
Yeah, Bob, of course, is a big attraction. It's also the best theater city in America. If you want to do something interesting and serious in the theater, this is really one of the only places to do it.
How often do you get home?
I try to come back at least a couple times a year, yeah. My mom gets a little sore if I don't.
The cast came to my dressing room and said his friend Terry Green had written a script and would I read it, and I said sure. And
was sending me letters, the movie's going well, it seems to be, you know, it looks like it's pretty funny, we're having a great time. So I knew things were developing well, but when we...
let's take one at a time. After the bombings of the embassy, we did in fact launch 79 cruise missiles against his camps in Afghanistan.
Let's start talking about the future. A Gallup poll this week says you are the Republican frontrunner for the presidency in 2008. Are you going to run?
I have no idea. It's way too early to have polls about 2008. I don't think they mean anything at this point. So.
You know, Michelle has been wonderfully supportive. Most importantly, just providing a base for our children.
Yeah, George and Grant probably went through the Facebook with a little picture of me that they colored in with, you know, felt pen and, you know, had the hair cut right. And, they went
and he got shipped off to whatever team he did, and they had Will Perdue.
Right, we actually shot this a week after we wrapped Friends in Atlantic City.
Our city has become a favorite with filmmakers like Christopher Nolan. We thought it would be fun to visit some of the locations they used in Dark Knight. So join CBS 2 entertainment reporter Bill Zwecker and Rich Moskal, the director of the Chicago Film Office, as they tour the real-life backdrop Chicagoans see every day.
Well, Rich, I understand that, you know, when it comes to the Dark Knight, being at this location, very much in the center of downtown, is very important.
Well, just as you would expect from a Crime Stopper epic, this picture kicks off with a crime, in this case a bank robbery, with the old post office building sitting in as Gotham National Bank. Of course, the robbers don't come in the front door, no, they choose to come in from the rooftop of the building across the street, where they fly a cable to the roof of the old post office, slide across the cable, burst in through a skylight into the lobby where all mayhem breaks loose. For the spectators who were out here actually watching the scene, it took a long time to set up, as you can imagine. But to make sure that the cable was sturdy and actually able to hold the weight of the stuntmen, just as they're about ready to roll camera, what they did is they swung big sacks, canvas sacks across, which was, of course, great disappointment to the people watching who were like, all this to swing a bunch of potatoes across the street, it just didn't look as what they were expecting. But as it turns out, the stuntmen did go flying across, swinging with their arms flying and their legs kicking, looking like a bunch of clowns. And when you see the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Oh, that's great.
Well, here we are in the River North neighborhood, very popular neighborhood now, and you know, obviously it must have had some significance for the Dark Knight as well.
Well, you know, the L is such a visual icon for this city, and an audio icon as well, as you see one going overhead. Yeah. There's hardly a movie that's shot in Chicago that doesn't in some way want to incorporate the L, whether there's people fighting on top of it or making love in it or chasing underneath it, which was the case for The Dark Knight. In this case, it wasn't Batman, it was Bruce Wayne. And when Bruce needs to get someplace in a hurry, he's taking the Lamborghini, not the Batmobile.
Can you blame him?
I don't blame him at all, although it didn't necessarily end well for the Lamborghini in the high-speed chase that ran all the way from Chicago Avenue, whipping down Franklin to the Merchandise Mart. Unfortunately, it meets an untimely, totaled out end here in the intersection.
So now, you know, here we are at Ferdinand and Cicero, Rich. What's so important about this location?
Well, for this scene, which involved Gotham General Hospital, the producers were literally just looking for a building that they could blow up. And after a thorough search of Chicago, they finally settled on this, the former Brock's Candy Factory, and what was the administration building. They blew it up really good. It was not just one big explosion, it was actually a series of carefully staged smaller explosions which dropped the building right where it was supposed to be, almost as if in slow motion. It was very dramatic, very cinematic. And it was loud, and it was big, and it was spectacular. I don't think we've ever blown up a building quite like it in Chicago. And I can't speak for the characters in the film, but I know that in real life, in the actual blowing up of the building, nobody was hurt, and in fact, it went off just like clockwork.
The Academy Awards are just a month away, and the hottest name in Hollywood right now is Oscar. But Oscar doesn't live in Hollywood. He's right here in Chicago. Their names are on the lips of film fans everywhere. Clint and Johnny, Hillary and Annette. But one name is bigger than all of them, even though he's only 13.5 inches tall. Oscar. While the homes of the stars are hidden in the hills of Hollywood, Oscar's home since 1983 is tucked away in Chicago's Jefferson Park neighborhood. It's the R.S. Owens Company.
It's a very nondescript area of town, and the building itself, I think, is a little anonymous too. Maybe that's intentional, I don't know.
Kristen Anderson and Bob Shavey recently got to visit Oscar's home.
We are frequent renters and attenders of the movies.
They won an auction and wound up witnessing movie history, touring the R.S. Owens plant as this year's Academy Awards were being handcrafted. Scott Siegel owns R.S. Owens,